It's a comedy Christmas with me, Alex Belfield, and we're talking to an old friend here on the programme today. Mark Thomas, how are you?
I'm good, thank you very much.
Firstly, what is going on? You're wet through, you're dripping, your hair is wet. Have you come out the shower? What's going on here?
I've just cycled in like mad. It'd be great to sort of say, no, they have showers. And actually, I've just been luxuriating in their sauna.
And this is sweat then, is it?
This is proper sweat. This is manly sweat.
Right, so, I mean, you are getting fit actually coming to do this interview, so I can feel good about that.
I don't know whether it's fit or just sort of like one step nearer the coronary. Do you know, I just don't know. I kind of often think that actually sort of, when I see cops with guns, I often wonder sort of like, are they there for my protection or just to administer the mercy shot when I start collapsing?
And the new book's called Belching Out the Devil. It's a fascinating rant by you again, standing up for what you believe is right. You love to go into these companies and find out what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong and bring it to their attention. Do you let them know that you're looking into them before you write it?
Well, what it is I went around the world, you know, whether it was from Colombia to America to India to Turkey to Ireland, you know, talking to people who are in conflict with the company. Yes, I do try and engage with the company and talk to them and say, you know, what's your reaction? Can I come and talk to you about here are the questions, here are the allegations. I put forward all these allegations to the company and questions to the company. And for ages, we had a very snippy sort of email exchange, which I've put at the back of the book. And at one point they said, we cannot keep answering your questions ad nauseum. I said, well, actually, you haven't answered any. And so I think the phrase ad nauseum, meaning an excessive or sickening degree, actually could be more appropriate in a sentence like, the company prevaricated ad nauseum. Best ever kind regards, Mark. Our relationship got quite snippy. And eventually they sent through the answers to questions we put to them. They put them through in Word documents, and in the Columbia document, they accidentally included all the lawyers' strike-throughs and comments, which we've printed at the back of the book. And so you can actually... I opened the book, it was like, open this document. Oh, my God! And I was within seconds, you've never seen me speed dial a lawyer before. Can we put it in the book? Can we put it in the book? So it was yeah, I do try and engage with the company and try and get answers from them. It's a roller coaster when you do these things, because one minute you're talking to guys who are, you know, who witnessed the murder of their colleagues in sort of factories in South America, and you're like, oh my God. And the next minute I was hanging out with Turkish rock bands who were going to represent Turkey in the Eurovision Song Competition, who are advising me about cultural authenticity. So you do have this incredible sort of range of experience, which is reflected in the book, I hope. So there's a lot of fun and there's a lot of weirdness goes on, and there's a lot of sort of serious points in it as well. And to the charge that I don't give a balanced report, we put all the company's responses to the allegations in there. I am the balance.
It's a hard job, isn't it? And then add to the fact you're meant to be a comedian. Does that give them the right to say, well, we don't have to take him seriously because he's just a stand-up?
They haven't tried that one yet. For everyone we interview, there's 5 other interviews that aren't included. In fact, I'm happy for them to come and discuss it with me. I've asked Amnesty. Amnesty are trying to organise a debate between me and the company on the book, just on the issues there.
You're able to do this just through your tenacity and your ability to research.
God bless you for not saying you're obsessive-compulsive disorder.
Oh, well, we'll get to your medical problems in a minute. So you are to Coca-Cola what Jamie Oliver is to chickens. Is that right?
Yeah, God bless. Do you know what? I would hate to think the chickens, if they depended on Jamie Oliver, they're probably in there just going, no, just keep us inside. We're all right. Thanks a lot. No, don't. No, stop it. He's patronising me.
How are you? What have you been doing in the last year other than this book? I mean, it seems like so much effort's gone into it and there is so much there. I can't imagine you've had any time to do anything other than work on this project.
Well, the weird thing is, because I went to America for the first time, well, I went to New York for the first time to write the book, and it was just like this wonderful love affair. It was just, I don't know whether it was, you know, reciprocal, but it was just, I was like, oh my God, this is fantastic. And so I had to go back to New York, and we met these great folk. I met Teamsters who I don't talk about in the book, but they're so funny. Because these guys are just this sort of, I did this interview with them, and at the end of it I said, so what do you say, to sum up, what would you say the real issue is? And this guy went, well, I'll tell you the problem, Mark. The old days you used to be able to get a baseball bat and go and do the bad guy. You can't do that anymore. And I was just sitting there in hysterics. Because it's like, you've just walked out of Sylvester Stallone's film Fist. This is fantastic.
And are you a fan of Broadway musicals?
I can't say that I am. I can't say that I am. I did actually go and see West Side Story Sadler's Wells recently. I took my daughter and my son to see it. And we enjoyed it immensely.
And is there any love lost between you and other comedians? Give me stuff that I can sell onto the Sun newspaper, because this is what I really like, to make money.
Okay, what can I tell you? That I love catching new comics when they create something and it's really exciting. I love watching new stuff. The idea that we would... it's like I love music, you know what I mean? And it sort of like saturates your being, and it's like a love affair with an album, and I feel a similar way towards watching comics when they do brilliant work. It's like when you watch a comic burn, when you watch a comic... Stuart Lee, who I really like, he did this great routine about drinking too much and meeting Jesus, and when you see it, it's just like, oh my God, that's fantastic. It's intoxicating when you see it. There's comics like Will Hodgson, who's a young comic who's from Cheltenham, who's just this amazing, brilliant stuff. He's this little sort of punk rocker boy who wears this sort of pink Mohican, but then he's got like nail varnish on and talks about Care Bears and talks about trying to survive in a very macho world, and does this incredible, very idiosyncratic stuff. Josie Long, who's just amazing, just these beautiful, beautiful sort of stories that ramble and turn in on themselves. And you see people like that who are just amazing performers, and for me, it's a joy. It's what I get angry at is when you see comics turning out the same old crap and lazy stuff and just pressing the buttons, and everything suddenly equals a new set of stereotypes. So students will eat pot noodles, put traffic cones onto the top of bus shelters, and and that'll be them. That's it, and they're lazy. And then you put it in there. That's the little bracket that everything you need to know about a student. There's no idea of individuality or getting past a stereotype.
Help me with this, and I went to see a comic who sold out a 3,000-seater venue. He's doing arenas this autumn. He started his first 5 minutes reading off his hands, and then he went to cue cards for the rest of the show. Can you defend that to me as a comic, having paid 35 quid to stand on stage? I was just appalled for the audience, and at the end, this was a sellout crowd. They went... and off he went. No standing ovation. And I thought, you don't deserve a standing ovation, because I wouldn't get away with that in a village hall.
I don't know the gig that you're referring to, but if that's the case, then it's not good. To see 35, to pay 30... You see, it's a lot of money, man. It's a lot of money. And when you're paying that much money, you expect them to deliver. You expect them to work on it.
How, as a live performer, do you overcome that? And where do you learn your material so that when you go out on stage, you're not having to use cue cards?
I get out and tell stories, and they all happened. So it's very hard unless I'm struck with amnesia. You work up material and you get it right, and you get the delivery right, and you get the stories flowing. And once you get to that stage, then you can busk all around the stage. It's a weird sort of state, because you kind of busk, and then you get the stuff right, and then you go, now I need to busk again, And you have to do it live, actually. You just have to do it live. But there is preparation that you can do. It's one of those things, if you haven't done it for a while, you just have to get back and do it and start from scratch again. I tend to think it's quite difficult if you're out of live performing to suddenly jump back in. You need to go and do the small clubs, and you need to make surprise appearances and do your 5 minutes and and get it working. It's a bit nuts. 600 people, and I'm worried, because I find that, well, actually, if you get that, actually sort of 300-400 is just the right size. Do you know what I mean? That's a really great size. This is the great thing about comedy, is actually stand-up comedy is the only art form where the audience determine the outcome of the evening. I'll tell you this for nothing, right? If you shout at a performer in a 200-300 seater, that will change the course of the evening. It might be a tiny course that it changes, but it changes the course of the evening. The audience, the performer reacts and might say something, or they might go off and bust, they might reincorporate it, they might play with it, it might encourage others, it might, so you can develop a whole thing where actually the course of the evening changes. If you shout at Hamlet, it's staying on track. I'm telling you now, I've never once managed to derail Shakespeare, and I've tried.
It's a very good point you make. And that feeling when you go out there and you're trying a new show, and especially serious stuff as well, you're pushing the boundaries all the time and just making people part of your journey.
Life, though. That's life. That's what it happens. Do you know what I mean? This idea that only some people are funny and other people aren't funny. Everyone is funny. Everyone has a sense of humour. Everyone encounters funny things all the time. Everyone, is a complex being, and that's what we are. So for me, it's just a matter of finding out the bits that are enjoyable. trouble there.
But you do have a way of turning something that may not appear funny to me into something that's actually going to get a belly laugh out of your audience. You do that brilliantly. And how do you work those moments out?
I think the thing is what you do is what I like doing is getting myself into situations where there's trouble to be had. I'll be honest with you. I had a thing. I was going into Parliament, and a cop stopped me. There's a long story involved in this, but I won't bore you with it. But essentially, I was giving evidence at a select committee, and I forgot that I'd got torture equipment in my pocket. So I turned up in my best suit and my best sort of, like, I prepared what I was going to say to this committee. And the torture equipment, I should explain, was to show how the loopholes work within the law. So I was giving evidence at this committee showing how you could move things around the world and how you could get around British regulations. And I just forgot that I'd got this torture equipment, these thumb cuffs and shackle things. And so I was walking in, and actually what happened was, and I've told this story on stage, I panicked and told the cop what it was. He said, "What do you want?" I said, "I've got to take these." He goes, "What for?" And I said, "What?" I said, "They're torture equipment." He said, "What?" I said, "They're for the Commons Select." He goes, "That's all right, take them through." So I took the stuff through, and I put them on this little grey plastic tray that goes through the metal detector. And this bloke on the machine just freaked out. He goes, "Oh!" You know, and he's shouting, "Oh!" And this bloke screaming, "It's all right, they're for the MPs." And it was just like, "Thank you very much, you're in the show." But at one point, this other cop said to me, "Why are you?" What? I said, "I'm a comedian." And he said, "If you're a comedian, what are you doing with all this? Why are you going in here? Why are you taking this stuff?" And I said something which I kind of think is probably more true than I intended at the time, which is, if you're going to do observational comedy, it's worth putting yourself in a place that's worth observing.
The new book is called Belching Out the Devil.
As you can tell by the title, a fair and objective look at the company.
Congratulations on being you. Your tenacity, as I said to you the last times we've spoken, is remarkable. You're completely unique. There isn't anybody else who's as funny as you, but as smart as you. It would be very easy to do this and not have the background, the research and the knowledge, and then be shot down in flames.
God bless you for your flattery.
You're completely unique. Mark Thomas, thanks for talking to us.
Pleasure.